Hello and welcome along, I'm Mark Shardlow. We've got a top goalkeeping coach to look at some pretty sensational keeping in Forest's terrific game at Chelsea. Mansfield have 4 players globetrotting this week, but they go into the international break having won 5 in a row in the league. But what do we make of Notts County? Their league position looks good, but they've lost 2 in a row at home. This is Team Talk. Thank you for watching, and joining me to go through it as always is former Notts forward and manager, now Mansfield Town youth coach, it's Charlie McParland. We're also joined by a man who scored his first goal in the Garibaldi Red at Stamford Bridge way back in September 1987. It's a debut on Team Talk for Paul Wilkinson. And sat next to him is former Notts County goalkeeper and international goalkeeping coach Seamus McDonough. Paul, welcome along to Team Talk. Great to see you. It's been a long time since I've seen you in Nottingham. 1987 you signed for the Reds,
yeah,
if I
very
remember
true,
right.
Yeah.
Brian Clough was the manager at the time.
Yeah.
So how did it happen? What was Clough's involvement in your signing?
Well, to be fair, it was Alan Hill who was one of Clough's assistants at the time. They tried to sign me when I signed for Everton 2 years previous to that. So I knew there was a lot of interest at that moment, and then they came back in for me. And unfortunately, on the day I drove over here and I got delayed by an hour. So when I turned up at the City Ground, there was no Brian Clough at that moment, so which wasn't unusual for those days. Yeah. But I met Archie Gemmell and Liam O'Kane and Ronnie Fenton at the time, and went in, spoke to them for a while, and then Brian came in. He'd been playing squash for an hour, I think, as he used to in those days, and only one thing he said to me: unless I got my hair cut, I wouldn't sign. So I had to go outside. Actually, Archie was very clever. He took me out. We went out and we went for everything, sorted everything out, and then brought me back in an hour later. And he stood behind me with my hair like that. And he said, Gaffer, this is that. And Cloughie went, yeah, that's okay. I'll take that. And the rest is history, as they say.
Brilliant. So you kept the hair?
No.
Oh, right.
The hair went. If you see the pictures from those days, you'll understand. Yeah. No, the hair went straight away. So.
Fantastic. Well, you've had a great career, after Forest, Watford and Middlesbrough, and then so many clubs that you've been involved with managing and coaching. We look forward to hearing from you over the next 45 minutes or so. We're going to start at Forest. They head into the international break in what I'd say is a more than satisfactory league position. They kept their unbeaten away record at Chelsea. Chris Wood scoring again from a well thought out and executed set piece at last. But Chelsea's pressure led to a Madueke equaliser, a sort of Callum Hudson-Odoi type strike. There were a couple of setbacks for the Reds, an injury to Morgan Gibbs-White, which thankfully doesn't appear to be as serious as first thought, and then James Ward-Prowse, who'll miss the next game after being shown a second yellow he handled to stop a Chelsea counter-attack. After the game, head coach Nuno Espirito Santo said he was pleased with his side's performance and their desire to win.
Good movements, good possession of the ball, the game was flowing. And second half, after the goal we scored, and we had more. But then the game finished in a crazy way. Chances on both sides. The positive part of that moment is with one man less, we still had the wish and the desire to go, not only sit back and wait for something. So let's go for the game. And this is a big step for us. For sure the fans have enjoyed it. I think everybody in the stadium have enjoyed it because it was a good game of football. It was a good game of football. He had everything. He had cards, he has confusion, fighting. Is what we love about the game.
Yeah. And I agree with that. It's what we. It was an old-fashioned football game, I think, wasn't it?
No, exactly. Like there's not enough passion in football now. Everything's nicey and this, and you can't football's all about passion and desire. And by that I don't mean players going over the top and trying to break players' legs or elbowing their nose. I mean proper tackling and wanting to win the football matches. And if things do spill over, they spill over. Yeah, there's a bit pushing going on and stuff like that. Then as soon as you walk down the tunnel, you shake hands and you get away. Football is all about passion, desire. You want to win football matches. You don't want to get beat. And a lot of people have taken this bit out the game. You know, I think it was a great game. It had everything in it. You know, it had like them all having a little stramash. You know, you had the goalkeepers making absolutely outstanding saves. You know, in the last few minutes of the game at both ends, you've got a sending off. Felt for Ward-Prowse a bit, like he just stumbled and he's not got the pace to chase Jackson back, and he made a good save as well with that, and unfortunately second yellow. But great goal for Forest. Diag, free kick. Milenkovic gets up, knocks it down. Chris Woods sticks in the back of the net again. Fantastic.
For the non-Scottish list, did you say Stramash?
Stramash.
What's that?
It's a. They won't remember Archie McPherson, the Scottish commentator.
Oh, yeah.
And there was always a saying. There was a big set two going on in the goal mouth. You know, they're trying to clear the ball. It's hitting off people. And in Scotland, they call that a Stramash.
Okay, well, you learn something every day, don't you, Seamus? Goalkeeping. I mean, you've coached at the highest level. You've played at a decent level as well. Goalkeeping. What about the saves at the end of that game from both keepers?
Incredible, and especially Sells, because he'd have had a clean sheet. He was unsighted. The goal came through 4 players, and one jumped over the Chelsea player, so he'd have got that if you'd have seen the strike.
Yeah.
But he was criticised at Brighton, position the wall and stuff like that, got a heavy criticism. That, endearing to the fans, Saturday was fantastic. Now he's a hero. He made that save in front of the crowd, point blank. It's unbelievable. The reaction from that distance, because everybody thought it was a goal, I thought it was a goal. Unbelievable save. And then only matched by Sanchez at the other end, making saving 2 points for Chelsea by saving that, which was fantastic.
It's a hard life as a keeper, though, isn't it? Because before the game, quite a body of Forest fans calling for Miguel to go in. I mean, I don't know how, because they've not seen him play. They've not seen him on the training ground. Only Nuno and his coaching staff have seen that. But because of one or two mistakes, you're only a mistake away from being criticised again as a goalkeeper, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think sometimes like that, when you're under pressure like that, you just need that one game. And he's in front of his Forest fans at Chelsea, big game, big occasion, and Forest get a point, and he was fantastic. So I think his credit's gone up with the Forest fans.
And on that, Seamus, I think the left full-back should have defended better. He should have got closer to the boy Majuki and got a foot in. It was too easy for him to cut and get the shot away.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think so anyway.
Another goal for Chris Wood?
Yeah. I mean, he's a striker who relies on instinct quite a bit, Chris Wood. I think he's a box player where there's not many nowadays probably left that are just genuine box centre forwards who want to get crosses in, who want to get on the front foot, and it's just a little toe ender, it's a little tickle off his foot. But those are the kind of goals that the top goal scorers score 10, 15 a year with that type of finish. And it's a dying art in today's game, unfortunately, where people want to get in between the posts. Everything's very much about being a great goal and specifics and little pullbacks, and sometimes you just got to get in there. You've got to gamble, you've got to go across defenders, and as the header's coming in, all he's doing is gambling that a lad's going to win it at the far post. He gambles, gets his toe end on it, and the keeper can't react in time, and it's a great finish. I think the one thing with Forest at the minute is they're going into games expecting to get something. And I think over the last probably couple of years, they've been going into games hoping they get something, where I think the win at Liverpool's obviously given them a lot of confidence, and then the results so far this season are making them look more difficult to beat. And when you're more difficult to beat, you have that confidence that you can get a goal, and they've got some terrific attacking talent. And the main thing is they've got talent on the bench to bring on as well, which again enables them in the last 20 minutes of games to be on the front foot.
That's a great point, isn't it? The difference between Forest now and Forest 12 months ago is that they go to any place thinking we can do something here.
Yeah, definitely. It's took a bit. You have to build the squad up. When they got promoted, they had got 5 loan players who were ever present in that season and were big players for them. So when they lost those players and got promoted, that's why there was a big influx of players signings that were pretty poor. Some of them, I must say. So they got through that. Got a bit better again, got through that, now they get a bit better again. Yeah. So small steps, and hopefully they keep building that, and they'll be be less and less duds, I call them, come in, and more sort of the top players. And I'm sure at the minute they'll be looking for a striker in January, or they'll be having a look at their situation in the league table to come and join Chris Woods in case Woods gets injured. And I warn you, he doesn't seem to be quite doing it at the minute.
Yeah. Just before we leave Chelsea, your first goal for Forest was at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, diving header.
Nice one.
Yeah, I do remember it, yeah.
Who was involved in the build-up for Forest that day?
Oh, God, you're asking me now. That's a good question. Right, good question. If I was a betting man, it'd probably either be Franz Carr or Gary Crosby, probably.
Yeah.
But again, it's a similar thing. In those days, those two were our flying wingers, and myself and Nigel played, and Nigel was a creative player who played the number 10 role in those days, and people just, you know, I know things change, things evolve, and I get all of that, and Charlie and Seamus have been involved as well, where everything that's going on now has been done. It always has. It just goes around in cycles, and there's different ways that people bring it out, there's different words that people use, but at the end of the day, football's football. And whoever scores the most is going to win the game. And, you know, there's different ways of doing it, and you know, for me, it's just great at the minute that Forest are starting to look like a team that's a Premier League team and not a team that's come up from the Championship. Because a lot of people go, yeah, but they're a Championship team in the Premier League. Now they're looking like a Premier League team that's going to develop and hopefully get into the top half at some stage, maybe over the next couple of years.
I think keeping
Brilliant.
settled back four.
I'll bring you in the second half,
Oh, sorry.
Seamus. Just got to go for a break for the moment. Great memories there, Paul, by the way. We've got more Forest to come, plus Forest women, Mansfield Town and Notts County after the break. Welcome back to Team Talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, joined as always by former Notts County forward and manager, and now Mansfield youth coach Charlie McParland. And we've got former Forest striker Paul Wilkinson and former Notts County goalkeeper Seamus McDonough with us today. Right, Seamus, you were going to say, I think actually I wanted to move on to the back four and how much a stable back four and a back four that you have confidence in makes a difference to a team, especially from a goalkeeping point of view, because I think Milenkovic to me has been like the signing of the summer.
Yeah, he's strong. He's added strength to it, and he's settled the back four now. He's settled it. He's changing in front of it, the midfield and wide men, and changing things. But that's settled, and I think that's a big thing, especially with a goalkeeper. Same back four, you build up relationships, and they look solid. You know, they look impressive. Plus, he's changing shapes as well. I mean, against Fulham, they played 4-4-2. Same back four, but he played a 4-4-2, two strikers.
Yeah.
I think he felt he didn't get it right, so he changed it. It wasn't working, he changed it. So he's not frightened to change, but the same goalkeeper back four is staying in there. And I think that's the base to build from.
I like the look of Milenkovic and Murillo. They're up there amongst the best centre pairings in the division, aren't they?
They've got a mean defence at the minute. They're not conceding a lot, and Milenkovic in the Euros is fantastic.
Yeah.
I just worry about Marino at left fullback because on the ball, fantastic, but just that defending side, and I like Aina playing out there, Ollie Aina playing on the left, and I like Nico Williams playing on the right side. But again, they've got depth. They've got Nico Williams sitting on the bench, who you're quite happy with him coming on the pitch. You spoke about the players on the bench and coming on and off, so it's looking good. The Fulham one, the 4-4-2, they got done a bit in the midfield because Fulham had a three-man midfield, and it's sort of like they sort of got found asking a bit, you know. And listen, I thought it was brave to go and play the 4-4-2 up there, but sometimes if you're not used to playing it and you're a striker, you'll know as well. If you've been playing as a striker on your own up there, then all of a sudden you get somebody up there, you're thinking, get out my way. You know, you're used to leading the line on your own, and you're like, and it throws you, you know, it throws you. But no, I think it's looking really rosy for Nottingham Forest at the minute.
Yeah, let's have a look at the table, Paul, and I think, 10 points, 7 games with victory, obviously at Liverpool, and decent away results at Brighton and Chelsea. You'd take that at the start of the season?
Oh yeah. The majority of teams would take that at the start of the season. It's a good solid start. the one thing that it gives you something to build on. I always remember my first day in coaching, my manager at Grimsby, Lenny Lawrence, said to me, always remember this, first 8 games, last 8 games, and muddle through the rest. And to be fair to him, it's quite a true thing that, you know, that first 8 games, so important to get out the traps. Then it's important just to maintain it through and then them last 8 games, if you're there, then that gives you the opportunity to drive in. So that type of start is so important to any club.
The results have come away from home, haven't they, Seamus? I mean, great result at Liverpool, good performances, exciting performances at Brighton and at Chelsea. But when we look at the games to come and the home games to come, key to me whether Forest are going to have that exceptional season is correcting the home form. It's remarkable. A year ago, we were talking about a Forest team that couldn't win away from home, but now it's a Forest team that are struggling to get results at home.
Well, I think there's a bit of doom and gloom before the season started, as though they're not signing any big name players and they could go down, same again, fighting to stay up like last year. But to lose 1 game after 7, I mean, the fans must be cock-a-hoop. And I mean, I think it'll come. They've had some bad luck at home and decisions against them, penalties and stuff, and I think it'll change the way they're playing. It looks good. It's a shame the break came now, because you've got 12 players away on international duty. There's 2 weeks to go, and you've just got to draw at Chelsea, who've been flying. You know, you want the next game, so it's a shame that, but they'll be fine.
I think that's a good point for Seamus. They've been very unfortunate at home. And I know it's all ifs and buts and that, but they've drawn a couple of games at home, which they could easily have won the game. But again, you still look at it, it doesn't matter, you want to get them winning away from home and winning at home. So it's all sod's law. We'll start winning at home and start losing away. That's the beauty of football. But like you say, Paul just says, if you're saying you're sitting there, 10th position, 10 points, you're thinking, I'll take that all day before the start of the season.
But are they a team that are set up to be a team that plays better away from home? The backs against the wall, the band of brothers that's going there, the style of play that they have.
I don't think so. I think the 2 centre halves make a massive difference for them now, because when you've got 2 centre halves you can rely on, as a team, it gives you that strength and resilience, and you feel probably the team you feel a little bit safe, because you think when we go into any game we can battle, we can fight, we can do the ugly side of it, which I'm not sure they've been able to do over the last couple of years, and I think that's probably builds that resilience then. And then the flair players, when they start or when they come on, they have the freedom to go and be flair players, where you're not thinking constantly about dropping back and defending. What they've given themselves now is the opportunity to attack, to go and be on the front foot against teams, and that scares teams. Because other teams then go into games, and if they're on the back foot, they're like, what's happening here? Normally when we come to Forest sit off, we'll attack them and they might try and hit us on the break. But now they're playing a different style, and maybe because they're at home and they're playing that little bit of a different style, just the first win will kick them on for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
they've got a big centre half, Milinkovic, who sticks his head on everything.
Yeah,
they've got Murillo, who is one of the best 1v1 defenders in the league. They've got pace, especially with Nico Williams not in the team at the minute, Olainya. They've got pace with Alanga, Hudson-Odoi. They've got good midfielders. Yeah, they've got a couple of injuries and suspension. So pace in your team, and 2 central defenders. One heads everything, the other 1v1 can drive out with the ball. So they're all complementing each other. They're all important cogs of the team.
and Seamus, the next 4 games look like it's a big opportunity then for Forest. You've got 3 at home, Palace, West Ham, Newcastle, and then the Leicester away game.
Leicester, yeah.
So 4 games really where if it's going to be an exceptional season, you're looking for a decent return from that.
I don't know. I remember we sat here with Gary when Gary said the opening 4 games, if they don't win 3, they'll go down.
Gaz is like doom and gloom. Gaz is a terrible pessimist. Gaz. He always has been.
And I think if they take 5 out of this, I'll be delighted. They took 5. But everyone, I might say old cliche, but it's one game at a time. Everyone's a battle. Every Premier League game, every game's, everything's on the line. So I think they can look forward to that, up to the Arsenal game coming up, which is down the line. I think it is. You think, well, that's not bad. We can do something there, but I think it's all looking good.
You're feeling good, yeah.
I just think the biggest thing is when you've got games like those coming up, people expect you to win, and that's the difficult thing. It's like when Ipswich went to West Ham at the weekend, everybody's thinking it might be their chance to get the first win, and it's every Premier League game is so difficult to get a result. Every Premier League, you've got to be at 100%. Whatever team you're playing, whoever you are. It's like Forest going and winning at Liverpool. It just shows that people are capable of going anywhere and winning at any time. It's like Brighton coming back on Sunday and winning 3-2 against Tottenham. Anybody that saw the first half would never have given them an opportunity to do that. So it just shows every game that comes around. If you aren't at it, you will get beat. You've got to be so at it, so right, so correct. And as we were saying earlier, at the moment, he's got choices, which is important because he can pick and choose at different ball. Bring on people and it's the same standard, and that's not easy at times in different clubs. So it's important that if they can take advantage of that and this start, then they can be in a great position. But if they don't, they're just going to make sure, which I think they're showing resilience, is they don't get beat. Even picking up points in the Premier League is so hard at times.
Yeah. Just a quick look at Forest under-21s. They played last night at Morecambe in the EFL Trophy. They went down. But the women were back to winning big in the league on Sunday. The Reds scored 8 at the City Ground against Halifax. Forward Casey Howe got her first goal for the Reds, as did Millie Chandarana. Meanwhile, substitute Sophie Domingo got 2, with Bridget Galloway, Holly Olding and Charlie Wellings completing the scoring, along with an own goal. After the match, head coach Carly Davis spoke about the benefits of playing in front of the home fans at the City Ground.
It's obviously always great for the players to be in front of the home fans. I think the surface, we always talk about it, but the surface helps with the way that we're playing. But equally, you know, the players have got to be assisting each other, and we've seen again today deliveries from wide areas for us are now becoming important because of the blocks that we're facing. So creating overloads in wide areas, and then the quality of delivery that comes in, whether that's from half spaces or wide areas. We have to make sure we're working on that, and we've seen some very good goals today, some very good assists. Pretty
emphatic there. Paul, I just wanted to ask you about girls' football, because you're now working at Worksop College, and you've got a girls' football academy up there that's going strong.
Yeah. No, it's really good. We actually started 3 years ago with Jill Scott, because this is before Jill went in the jungle and everything that's followed for her. But my daughter's at the school, and she is like the head netball coach, and she just said to me that they were looking for football, and I'd just come out of being manager at Bury, and I was sort of looking for maybe something a little bit. They're still involved in football, but doing something a bit different, and the opportunity came up, and I said, yeah, that'd be great. And first year we only had 6 girls, because it was just before the European Championships, and obviously everything that took off from that with England winning it, and then this year we've got 16, so we've sort of developed every year, and it's different. And the thing is, the girls and the women don't want to be judged against the men. It's their sport, it's their football, and it's great. The participation is fantastic in it now, and in 2 or 3 years' time, the standard will just go through the roof, because they are now getting all the best S&C, they're getting the best physio, they're getting all the opportunities to use the things. The one thing that it does have at the minute is the authenticity of football probably 20 years ago.
Brilliant. Paul, got to hit a break, so we'll have a chat after this. Welcome back to Team Talk with me, Mark Shardlow, alongside Seamus McDonough, Paul Wilkinson and Charlie McParland. Just before we move on to the Stags, you were talking about authenticity in girls' football.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's probably like boys' football was 20, 25 years ago, where it's all just about the game at the minute. It's like they get fired in, they're tackling, they don't roll about, they're not interested in all the glamour and everything about it. They just want to play the game, and that's a fantastic bit about it. And I really enjoy coaching them at the minute. It's really gives me something when I get up in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to enjoy again today, because they have that about them, And I think that's the important thing. The biggest thing I'm hoping is that because of the exposure now of the women's game, that it doesn't go into that phase of where they start diving about and things, and they start trying to. If they're clever and they keep the game the way that it is, because the fans really enjoy it because they just get stuck in. They really do it. And as I said to you, nobody wants to be judged. The women's game's a women's game, and I think that showed with the Euros that we're here and the crowds and the way that everybody got behind the players and things. And I think the next 5 years, you'll see a massive increase in the quality and the speed and how the game's played.
Brilliant. It sounds like you're enjoying it and doing a great job up there at Worksop College. I'm going to ask you about Mansfield Town in a moment, because you obviously played with Nigel Clough, and the Stags go into their second international break with a pretty sensational run of results despite a long injury list. 5 wins in a row sees them third in the league behind big money Birmingham and Wrexham after their win at home this weekend. It was a game of 2 halves for Mansfield, but one they executed well, going forward in the first 45 minutes, giving them a 2-0 lead courtesy of a brace from Will Evans. And then in the second, they defended that lead against pressure from the Tangerines. Assistant head coach Andy Garner praised what he described as a bare-bones squad after the game.
Our own way today. There was times, we've been outplayed a little bit, I thought, in spells. But the effort that the players are giving, the commitment and the quality at times, especially the goals. They can't do any more at the moment. We're down to the bare bones. You lose Gregory, you lose Cargill. You think they're on the knees. Some of them who haven't played for a long time are absolutely on the knees. And I tell you what, Ojan's up to all of them. We can't give them any more praise than what they've got at the moment.
We love Andy Garner, don't we?
It's
down to earth.
So down to earth, Andy. It doesn't get carried away. Like he's funny, but he's a good football man.
It's like their best run of form at this sort of league level for 50 years.
50 years. It's a dream start for them. Absolutely, you couldn't have dreamed that up. It's fantastic. It's a dream start, and with all the injuries as well. So it's all good when they come back.
So tell us about Nigel. You played alongside him for a couple of seasons at Forest.
Yeah. The most down-to-earth lad you'd ever meet, Nigel. Great lad. He was, when I joined Forest, we actually roomed together, so we got to know each other really well, and I really got on well with him. And to be fair to him, he was always under the shadow of his dad, which at the time was, his dad used to shout to him, "Number 9, move your backside," and anything just for him. But Nigel dealt with it, and because he's so laid back, I think that was just his way. He dealt with everything that was thrown at him, and nothing surprised me with the fact that he's gone into football, because his dad was a builder of clubs, and I think he's followed on. What you tend to find is you have managers that are coaches and managers that build clubs, and I think Nigel's a builder of a club over the years. He's built clubs and given them good solid platforms, and I think Mansfield and him at the time were probably a match made in heaven. And he must be going to maybe his 3rd, 4th, maybe even his 5th year now at Mansfield, and he's just built and built and built every year. He has total trust with his players. He has 3 or 4 players generally that follow him around the different clubs, and that builds confidence throughout any club. And I think the people that are at Mansfield trust in him implicitly, and he's repaid that by the way that they've got the promotion, and now they're looking forward the other way. And it's going to be difficult. They've had a great start, but as I was saying, they've got a lot of injuries. Maybe this international break's just come at the right time for them at the moment to maybe get 1 or 2 of them back. But I'm sure they're looking forward to the rest of the season now.
What was he like as a roommate?
Very quiet. Very quiet. Anybody knows Nigel? Yeah. No, he's very quiet. Deep thinker, but he was always good. But he's not. He wasn't one for going out or doing anything like that. Kept himself to himself. But that was him. That was part of who he was. And I know even now he likes taking his dogs out and doing all the simple things that people like to do. And he's always been a good family man as well. So
you're involved in the Mansfield setup. What's the atmosphere like at the moment down at Mansfield?
A winning club's a happy club. They've got promoted. They've started this season well. And like, no, it's a really, really good atmosphere. Even in the past when I've been there a couple of years, even when they've lost, there's still like a good atmosphere, you know. But Nigel, what he's done as well this season, you look at his recruitment, it's been absolutely brilliant. You know, Will Evans, Lee Gregory, them two up front. I just spoke to Paul there. They're a bit of a throwback. They're two centre forwards who want to run about and get between the posts and score goals. You know, they started with a diamond at the start of the season. Now they're playing three at the back. Them two are getting the goals, and it's a dream for midfield players and defenders. If you've got a couple of strikers who want to run about without the ball to close down, then run about when you've got the ball. The Deji, you had him at Cardiff. He's been a revelation, you know, playing at centre half. Absolutely fantastic. Keanu Bacchus, lovely footballer, Australian international. He's off again on his
Well,
trouble.
he's off to Vanuatu and Adelaide.
I know where Adelaide is, but I don't know where Vanuatu is.
It's a line in the middle of nowhere.
But
Yeah.
a real, he's a Nigel type player. He like Nigel by his little, you know, saying little techie players, you know, footballers.
Yeah.
And again, and Nigel's his feet will be on the ground. You know, he won't. Him and Andy, they don't really get carried away, which is a good thing. But we spoke about here about 2-3 years ago when we sat here and he had 11 players injured.
Yeah.
He would have
Same
tempered.
again. Yeah.
Starting the team, and they were going through a bad patch.
Yeah.
And we were saying they have to stick by him. Seamus was here at the time, and
Yeah.
Seamus was working. You have to stick by Nigel, you know, because you're not going to get a better manager in there.
Yeah.
And they stuck by him, got all the players fit, and steadily they've taken off.
Yeah. We talked about the Globetrotters with Lucas Akins going off to the Caribbean, and we got Ben Waine going to New Zealand and to Japan. Then we've got Christy Pym in the Northern Ireland team. Less glamorous, his travels. But what do you make of Christy Pym finally getting a call up for Northern Ireland?
Yeah, I work with Christy. He's a good keeper. I think people looked at him and thought he wasn't tall enough, but he's really good kicker, a good kicker of a ball. And I mean, it's out the blue. Northern Ireland's he's eligible, so he'll get in there. There's not much competition. He'll get in there. I think he's good talker. Works back four. He's a leader in the dressing room. You know, he's a strong character. But great to work with.
Yeah.
Good.
What's that moment like? Because how many caps did you have for Republic of Ireland?
25.
What's it like when you get the first call, and how did it happen in your day?
It's unbelievable. I was
Pigeon.
Sent a pigeon out. No, it's true. No, I was told there might be something going on, so I got the Irish radio on, and it's breaking up. And then he said, they just announced the Irish panel. I'm driving a car, it's crack. And the name, I was in. Just the name came up. Didn't care who was in after that. It was fantastic feeling, unbelievable.
Brilliant.
So you heard by listening to Irish radio?
Yeah, I got the
While you
radio.
where were you playing at the time?
I was at Everton.
Right.
Yeah, and it just came like crackling, and I just said the name, and I thought, wow, and that was how I went over the boat as well. No plane. I got the boat.
Wow. Who was the manager?
Owen Hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just remind us of like the famous players that you had to try and.
Well, Liam was captain. Liam Brady, a great player. There's
Yeah.
Dave O'Leary, Frank Stapleton,
I was thinking of forwards that tried to get the ball past you.
Tony. They all got the ball past me. At some stage, I think it was only then they could never score against me. I mean, over a period of time.
Who was the greatest forward that you came up against in international football?
International football. Perry and Zico, Brazil, he was something else. Zico, I mean, frightening. Zico, yeah. But Ruud Gullit,
Yeah.
Van Basten was unbelievable, yeah. I thought he was young then.
It's a great week for Christy then.
Oh,
The possibilities that this could open. Let's have a look at the table and see how we're thinking Mansfield Town are doing at the start of this season. We thought like just surviving relegation zone will be good enough, but third place there, played 9, points 20.
Happy days.
Yeah.
One defeat,
fantastic.
incredible.
Happy days. +6.
Yeah, that's
But
a big
listen,
thing. isn't it?
again, let's not get carried away. And Nigel and Andy and all the staff, they're not getting carried away. But what a fantastic start. you know, and they're resilient. You know, they can play their football, but they can also, when they're under the cosh a bit, they can defend. And again, Christy Pims, I've been there 2 years, and I think Christy Pims only made 2 mistakes, and that was in one game at Lincoln. The rest of the time, he's so efficient. He'll come and take a cross. Seamus is not the best, but he takes a cross. He's a good shot stopper. Ball at his feet, fantastic. So no, it's great for the Mansfield Town fans, and again, they've done a really good job there, Nigel and his staff.
And I guess rather like Forest, they're just expecting to perform well, with getting points at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that confidence, you feel it when you go out to the pitches that you are capable of beating everybody. Then you've got to put it into practice, obviously. I think the big thing with Nigel is that he always has 3 or 4 experienced players, knowledgeable lads who then are good at game management and understand the way a game is processed. So, and that's so important.
And they're doing the business. Indeed. Coming on, playing up front, we've got Notts County to cover and our weekend predictions on the way in just a moment. And welcome back to Team Talk with Charlie McParland, Paul Wilkinson, Seamus McDonough and myself, Mark Shardlow. So what are we going to make of Notts County? They're just a point off top spot, but went down to another home defeat at the weekend. The only goal of the game came from the visitors halfway through the first half. Despite plenty of good chances, Notts weren't able to come away with any points to show for it. Then in the EFL Trophy on Tuesday night, the Pies faced League One side Northampton. Maynard rotated the squad again for this competition with a host of academy players, both in the starting lineup and on the bench, and ultimately, though, 2 long-distance finishers from Northampton resulted in the final result. Well, after Saturday's defeat, head coach Stuart Maynard said he felt that Notts could have had more.
It's a real frustrating afternoon for us because once again the performance levels were excellent. I think in the first 5-10 minutes we come out the traps, we said to the lads we need to make sure we get the crowd here rocking, and I think after 5 or 10 minutes it was. We knew that obviously they brought a big away following, we needed to silence that with our performance, and that was our job on the pitch, and I think the lads stuck to the game plan, and we had probably 3 or 4 really good moments, and I think we should be going in 1-0. It is frustrating, it's another game really at home that you want to win, but at worst we should be coming away with a 0-0 draw.
It's a curious one because they're only a point behind the league leaders, but they've lost 2 at home in a row. They lost a lot at home at the back end of last season, and the Gillingham and Port Vale games felt very similar. And can you sense and can you agree that with the fans who are getting frustrated?
Well, listen, they're a point off the top. Let's put it in context. Yeah. The just a little bit worrying thing for me is they've played I think 5 of the bottom 6 in there. But I still think they've got the squad to get automatic promotion. But when they've came up against Gillingham, they've lost at home, a team who's going to be around there. They've came against Port Vale, who will probably be around them. They've lost that game. So that's a wee bit worrying. The game on Saturday, and I watched it, I'd probably say a draw would be a fair result. Port Vale have had a lot of chances, and Notts County have had a lot of chances. So they must start winning at home. And it's the same sort of scenario as Forest. You can start winning at home. And, because I see Notts County in the top 2. Wrexham are out of the league. Stockport are out of the league. Mansfield Town are out of the league. And there'll not be a better chance of them getting promoted this year. And the goal they conceded, I think I heard a quote from the manager saying it was a free kick leading up to the goal. For me, it wasn't a free kick. It was how the lad defended. He didn't defend properly. Sort of collided. It went over his head. And the most worrying thing is there was 4 Notts County defenders in the box. Port Vale had 2 players on the edge of the box, and they had 1 running into the box. And not one of those four players picked up the striker.
And this point that you were making to me.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. They've lost 2, but they're not letting goals in like they did last year. And they've not got the striker, the 40-goal striker. I was at the Gillingham game and they had the chances. First half, they could have been 3-0 up, possibly 3-0 up, and then it goes against them. But the goal, I mean, the boy's got the wrong side against Port Vale. He's wrong side.
Yeah.
Then when he gets the nudge, he's looking for a free kick. But then when it goes wide, you've got two back. There's two strikers coming at the box. They'll be locked on. They went and marks. Space doesn't score a goal. I mean, it's an old cliche. It never scores a goal. They drop back. In fact, when the ball goes in there, there's 4 Notts County shirts. 5 or 6 yards off the ball, well, you know, mark them.
Mark them, yeah. Pick up in the
All they
box.
have to do is pick up in the box. And then if they beat you, they outmuscle you, okay, you give them, they've scored the goal, you made it hard for them, but at least you've been there. To attempt, but not to mark them when the boy had been caught on the flank. I thought it was poor. And you don't need to do that, because then you get the draw. You might not score a goal, but it's 0-0 and you're moving forward. But I think it's a good start overall, and I like what they're trying to do. Probably a bit more tempo. I'd like to see a bit more tempo in the play, in the passing.
You can see the value of a goal scorer, though, can't you? I mean, the missing chances at home, and they had a record-breaking goal scorer who's left them, and there's the gap.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
it's the hardest thing to replace at any level. It doesn't matter whatever level you're playing at. If you lose a 20, 30, 40 goal a season man from your squad, it's always difficult to replace somebody who's going to start straight away. You may bring in a couple, but you need somebody that hits the ground running, and Macaulay Longstaff was that person for them and has been over the last 2 or 3 years, and they could rely on him. You can get probably in games like that where you need somebody to come up with a goal out of nothing, or like the Chris Wood goal where you get a toe end on someone in the box and it either gets you a draw, it wins you the game. And so they've just got, they maybe have to be a little bit patient. I mean, I've seen they had 16 attempts at the weekend, which is a lot of attempts to not score from one. So again, they're creating the opportunities. If you're not creating the opportunities, I'll probably be a bit more worried than if you are. So, you know, you've always got that plus point on that side of it. Port Vale are pretty resilient at the minute as well, and they've had 2 or 3 decent results. Didn't start great, but have had 2 or 3 decent results coming up to that game. So again, it was always going to be maybe a tough game. And expectations. You're second in the league, people expect you to win, and all of a sudden it doesn't quite happen for you on the day, and they get a goal and they defend and you can't score. And you, as I said, you haven't got that Macaulay Longstaff, somebody like that, who's going to nick you a goal out of nothing. And you know, that's the difference that can be just that little bit of quality at the right moment.
Let's take a glance at the table, and I think you're right when it talks about expectation, especially as not spent that time in the National League when they pretty much won every game, and supporters had a couple of seasons just knowing that Notts County were just going to win. And
Notts County were the Man City of the National League.
Yeah.
Let's not don't you know, that National League, and it's no disrespect, like it's not a fantastic league, but when you've got Notts County in there, like and you know, you had the Wrexham in there, you're talking about giants in that league. But again, he spoke about it, box players. Macaulay Longstaff scored 25 goals for Notts County last season, league goals. It's hard to replace that. It's very hard unless you spend a lot of money. So again, they probably would have won that game the other day if Macaulay Longstaff's here.
yeah. Just before we sort of go on to our predictions today, I mean, you've been involved in bucket shaking to save Notts County, and you've seen Notts County go on the brink. You, of course, were at Bury, a club that did, we all thought football clubs couldn't go under, but Bury did go under. What was that like at the time for the club and for the town?
It was extremely hard, really hard. I mean, the worst thing was the amount of days that we sort of had hope, and then that was taken away from you within 24 hours, and it was probably 3 or 4 times we thought that we'd actually achieved the opportunity. And I think, and this is no disrespect to the people that are in charge, but if the people that are in charge at the EFL now were in charge at that moment, I don't think it would have gone under. I think it would have survived. Unfortunately, there was a couple of people in charge who had just been put in at that moment to oversee it for a spell of time, and didn't quite, it's maybe not the knowledge, but didn't quite have the clout to be able to say, well, hang on a minute, this is one of the 5 original clubs that brought in football. We can't allow this to happen. Whereas I think nowadays it would never happen. I think that people would get around and somebody would find a way. But it was extremely difficult for the town, because football's their life. You know, they've had the football team since the whole league originally started. So there was so much history and so much so much desire to make it work, but unfortunately it didn't quite happen. And the owner at the time, to say he wasn't, whether he was that bothered or not, anybody, who knows? Who knows?
You know the worst thing about that is, it's not the fans that destroy their football club.
Yeah.
It's bad ownership.
Yeah.
Bad people in charge. Egos. Like, you know, like charlatans.
But don't you think when you hear that, Charlie, you think you're so thankful of the fans at Notts County that have supported Lifeline and have raised money in the buckets that have taken it from the brink?
I was walking around with a bucket. I was in the Astoria.
Yeah.
Used to be a nightclub down there. It wasn't a bad nightclub either, like that. But no. But I was in there in a big meeting. Then Lifeline started up after that.
Yeah.
And we were out with buckets. And I was in Debenhams in town. Me, the gaffer, Jimmy, and Mick Leonard, giving out leaflets for this Lifeline to save the club.
So we might complain that Notts have lost 2 at home, but hey, there is a Notts County, and there very nearly wasn't going to be.
The biggest one you look at is Bournemouth, isn't it? If you think all the years back, Bournemouth was the same with the buckets, and then now they're in the Premier League. So there's always life after.
I think Bolton want to start Lifeline.
Yeah.
Going to bring you to Notts County this weekend. Time for our predictions. There's only one game this weekend. It's quite a big one. Chesterfield, Notts County.
Oh, yeah. Cookie will have them wound up. But I think if Notts County are at it, I think they'll win. Notts County win.
It's a Saturday lunchtime
12:30,
kickoff.
yeah.
I mean, it's a derby, be a full house,
Yeah.
great atmosphere. So derbies are different to league games, but I think Notts can win. I think they can go there and win. Make a statement, you know, they beat those and
Yeah.
they're flying.
Yeah, I think many thought Chesterfield would have a better start to life in League Two than they have had. They've slipped up. I think they've drawn 3 out of the last 4. So how do you see this one?
I think it's always difficult when you do come up sometimes. Sometimes teams go woof and they go straight in and it's great, and then other ones, it takes them a bit of time to find their feet. I think maybe that's the point with Chesterfield at the minute. I actually think if Notts County are at it, that they'll win on Saturday, because I think when you look at the stats from the weekend and the way they've played over the last few games, they've been a little bit unlucky at times as well. So I think their away form's pretty good. So I think they're more than capable of going there and getting the results. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Paul, it's been great. Loved your stories today. Thanks. A great debut, I think we're going to say, for Paul.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you, Seamus, and thank you, Charlie, too. And thank you for watching. Really enjoyed today's programme. We'll see you again next week when we'll chat more Forest, Notts County and Mansfield Town. Have yourself a great weekend, and bye-bye.